I took off my wedding ring the same night I slipped into another man's bed. Not just any man, my husband's rival. It was not love. It was revenge. It was fire. And I never planned to feel anything until he touched the part of me Dean had broken a long time ago. I had gone to Sydney's beachfront fundraiser just to be seen, to make Dean sweat. But when Sydney leaned in, looked me dead in the eyes, and said, "He never deserved you," I kissed him, not out of lust, not even out of spite. I kissed him because, in that moment, I realized I was not just punishing Dean. I was waking myself up. And what happened next? It changed everything. Even now, I still ask myself, did I fall for the enemy? Or did I finally find someone who saw me? Before I dive deeper into this messy story of betrayal, regret, and unexpected truth, I just want to pause and say thank you to everyone who has subscribed to this channel. If you are new or returning and have not hit that subscribe button yet, please do. Your support is the fuel that powers these true stories. Leave a comment, share thoughts, and do not hold back. I read every single one of them. Now, let us get back to it. My name is Hazel. I live in Maui, Hawaii. On the surface, I had a picture-perfect marriage to Dean, a high-ranking resort manager known for his ambition, charisma, and perfect teeth. Behind closed doors, our home felt cold. Dean was always working late, always tired, always distracted. When I brought it up, he would say, "I am doing this for us." But it never felt like us. It felt like I was the background music in his life, just enough noise to keep him from feeling alone, but never the focus. Things truly fell apart when I found the texts. I was not snooping. I was searching for a recipe on his iPad when a message from Carly with a love heart-shaped emoji popped up. I froze. Carly was his assistant. 27. Bubbly. Blonde. Always called me Mrs. Hazel with fake sweetness. The texts were not just flirty. They were intimate. Familiar. I scrolled. There were hotel bookings, secret lunches, and a picture. I did not cry. I did not scream. I sat still as everything I believed about my marriage collapsed inside my chest. Dean walked in an hour later and tried to lie. Then blamed me. Said I had been distant. That I was not as fun as I used to be. That was the moment I knew I could never make him feel what he made me feel. But maybe someone else could. That someone was Sydney Monroe. Sydney was Dean's professional enemy. Another resort executive with a reputation for stealing clients and spotlight. Where Dean was polished and controlled, Sydney was sharp and unpredictable. He once called Dean a walking LinkedIn profile. I liked that. We met at a charity gala just 2 weeks after I found the texts. I went alone, wearing a red dress I had not worn since before I was married. Sydney found me at the open bar. He smiled, tilted his glass toward me, and said, "Did Dean finally realize his wife is the most interesting thing about him?" I laughed, but it caught in my throat. He studied me, not with hunger, with recognition. I told him everything that night. Maybe it was the wine. Maybe it was the freedom. Maybe I just needed someone who was not afraid of Dean. He listened. No interruptions. No judgment. Then he leaned in and said, "You deserve a man who does not make you feel invisible." I kissed him, and I knew that one kiss would cost me more than I imagined. Because what started as revenge woke something in me that Dean had killed years ago. I thought I would wake up with shame in my throat. I thought I would rush to the shower, scrub Sydney's scent off my skin, and block his number before the guilt swallowed me whole. But I did not. I laid in bed, staring at the ceiling of his penthouse suite, and felt something I had not felt in years. Peace. It terrified me, because this was not just a fling. It was not just revenge. Sydney had looked me in the eyes and seen a woman. Not a wife. Not a responsibility. Not someone to manage or impress. Just Hazel. And the truth I was not ready to face was this. I missed being seen. Dean was different when I got home. Not kinder. Not guilty. Suspicious. He kept asking odd questions. Where were you last night? Why did you wear that dress? Who were you talking to at the bar? I answered calmly. I had rehearsed it, but I knew he was watching me, like a predator watching a wounded animal, sensing the shift. I began meeting Sydney in quieter places. A bookstore cafe on the north side. The marina at dusk. Even his car, once. We did not cross lines every time. Sometimes we just talked. Sometimes we just sat. And every time, Sydney peeled back another layer of me. He asked about my dreams. I told him I used to paint back in college, but gave it up when Dean said it was a waste of time. He said, I hope one day you stop living your life as someone else's shadow. I did not answer. I was afraid if I opened my mouth, I would cry. Sydney never pushed. He never demanded I leave Dean. He never rushed me. He let me exist. Loud. Quiet. Confused. Broken. And that made it harder to breathe. Because how do you lie to someone who actually cares about your truth? Dean was getting worse. He stayed out late again. He picked fights over nothing. One morning, I made pancakes and he accused me of trying too hard, like I was guilty of something. I almost laughed. He was the one who cheated first. But somehow, I was the one walking on eggshells. Then came the day that shook everything. Sydney and I had agreed to meet at a quiet cafe we had started to call our neutral ground. I had painted something, my first painting in 8 years, and I brought it to show him. He looked at it for a long time, then said, You have no idea how much beauty you carry. He said it like he meant it, like it mattered. I wanted to say thank you. I wanted to kiss him. I wanted to ask him how someone like him ended up so alone. But I never got the chance. Because when I looked up, standing at the window of the cafe, was Dean. His arms were crossed, his jaw clenched, and his eyes. They were not confused. They were full of confirmation. Dean did not make a scene inside the cafe. He just stared. Then he turned and walked away. By the time I ran outside, he was gone. Sydney stood behind me, quiet, respectful, but ready. He touched my shoulder and asked, Do you want me to drive you home? I shook my head. For the first time in a long time, I knew I had to face something on my own. When I got home, Dean was already there, sitting in the dark like a villain in one of those late-night movies. The moment I opened the door, he said, So, you and Sydney Monroe. I did not deny it. I did not cry or apologize or explain. I stood there and told him the truth. Yes. I was with him. I went to him after you went to her. I went to him because you made me feel invisible and he made me feel human. Dean laughed. It was cold, broken, empty. So, this is who you're now? Some pawn in my enemy's game? That hit me hard, but not because it was true, because it showed me how little he still understood. I am not a pawn, Dean, I said slowly. I was your wife, and you turned me into a ghost. He slammed a fist on the table. So, you just sleep with the first man who tells you are pretty? No, I said, voice steady. I slept with the first man who made me feel like I mattered. Silence. And then the storm. Dean shouted, cursed, accused me of ruining his name, his business, his reputation. But I stood there calm, because I knew what I was finally ready to do. I packed my things that night, not in rage, not in haste, with clarity, because revenge was never supposed to heal me, but truth could. Months passed. Sydney and I went quiet. He gave me space. Never called, never texted. I think he knew I needed to rediscover who I was outside of the chaos. I started painting again. I took a part-time job at a local art store. I moved into a small beachfront apartment where I could hear the ocean when I could not sleep. I breathed. I cried. I rebuilt. And then one day, out of nowhere, Sydney showed up at the store. He did not bring flowers. He brought one of my old canvases, the first one I had painted after a night together. He said, "I never wanted to be your escape. I just wanted you to see yourself the way I saw you." I did not run into his arms. I did not promise him anything. I just smiled and said, "I am not running anymore. Here is what I learned. Revenge is loud, but healing is quiet." I cheated to get revenge, but I found myself in the wreckage. Not because of Sydney, not because Dean lost me, but because I finally realized I had been gone a long time and I wanted myself back. What do you think? Was Hazel wrong for how she handled it? Was Sydney sincere? What would you have done in her place? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Like this video if the story spoke to you. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you have not subscribed yet, I would love to have you join the channel. Your support is what keeps these real stories going. Until next time, stay brave, stay honest, and never forget who you are.